The next section is going to be about the role of women in the 1950s and 60s and the role for women to get equality. You see this picture on the slide here, which says equal jobs and educational opportunities, with this woman in the front holding the American flag. So think about how we kind of trace the role of women throughout American history and how that role might be changing when we get through the civil rights movement. One of the big important people you need to know is Betty Friedan. Betty Friedan is this woman that you see here. She wrote a book called The Feminine Mystique, challenging the belief that educated suburban women were happy being housewives. Before this time, we talked about really how the role of women was to really be at the house, to cook and take care of the family. And even though we had women's suffrage at the passage of the 19th Amendment, those women roles did not change a lot, as you saw in the Life in the 1950s activity. Betty Friedan helped form the National Organization of Women, also known as NOW, because the women are chanting, what do we want? Equality. And when do we want it? Now. So that is Betty Friedan, not to be confused with Betty Crocker, because Betty Crocker might bake you a cake, but Betty Friedan is certainly not baking you a cake. All right, the women's liberation movement. Liberation is a word that means freedom. Freedom tends to be a major word as you see through this unit. The major goal of the women's liberation movement is to guarantee women equal pay for equal work. Equality, the time is now. So it is to make sure that if men and women are doing the same exact job, that men are not getting paid $20,000 more for that, but that they're getting the same wages for doing the same work. This chart that you see here shows the median earnings of men and women in the United States from 1960 to 1990. So we see the year, we see how much women make, how much men make, women's earnings as a percentage of men's, and then the earnings gap in constant $1990. So you kind of see how that changes over time. It goes from 60% down a little bit to 59, up back up to 60, and then in 1990 we finally hit 71%. So the women's liberation movement is effective and maybe not getting 100%, but getting more on track to women making as close to equal wages as possible as men. The next thing we need to talk about is Title IX. This is not Title IX. IX is Roman numerals for the number 9. So this is about athletics in schools. So if you see here, you see in 1971, this shows high school athletic participation. If you think about in schools, what is the number one sport, especially in the state of Texas? It's football. All about football. Sometimes the other sports don't get as much attention. So you see here is that in 1971, we have over 3 million boys participating in athletics and less than 300,000 girls participating in athletics. The reason why is because all the fundings were going to boys' sports. The boys' sports were getting everything, and the girls were getting, oh, we got a little bit of money left. We give you some equipment, so we'll give that to you. Now you see in 1994, wait, the girls, it went up. We now have 2 million participating in girls' athletics. What happened? Title IX happened. What this did is that this banned gender discrimination in schools, granting girls the same opportunities as boys. Made sure that we had equal funding in athletics and also in other educational opportunities. Next slide, you'll watch a video about Title IX, and that is the end of the other civil rights movement section.